Although, to be fair, neither had the time police, but it was embarrassing just the same. We had, however, managed to get his accomplice's body out of the tree. The operation had been quite complex, involving a cherry picker, Angus the chicken in an observer's capacity, less than helpful suggestions from Professor Rapson hanging precariously out of his window for a good view, an inordinate amount of rope, the entire security section, Miss Lee, who had taken advantage of my absence to be a nosy Parker, and finally, when the situation had become desperate, Mr. Strong and his chainsaw. Down came the tree, Dottle and all. I was sorry I'd missed it, but I was in sick bay at the time, having my bones glued back together. It's a bit of a bugger, but the truth is that at my age, the bones don't knit quite as quickly as they used to, and I was having trouble knitting. Or so Dr. Stone said. I told him I personally blamed my lack of knitting on the poor standards of medical care currently prevailing at St. Mary's, and that turned out to be a bit of a mistake because the next moment he was standing over me with a syringe the size of a Saturn V rocket. I sat up in a hurry. What the hell's that? Nothing for you to worry your little historian head about. Good heavens, what has Mr. Bashford done now? I twisted my head to look, and the bastard got me. Ow! I said indignantly, rubbing my arm. There, he said happily. That should do it. What do you mean, should? He stared dubiously at the syringe. Well, I have to admit I'm not completely confident because I've only ever used this stuff once before, and that was on a ginger tomcat. What? Did it survive? Sadly, no. What? Relax. It was run over by a bus. I sagged back onto the pillows with some relief. Yes, he continued. It had some sort of fit about 10 seconds after the injection and ran out into the road. Don't worry, we won't let that happen to you. It's a little late now, surely. We thought we'd tie you to the bed and hope that will increase your chances of survival. Hold still now. Bugger off. He grinned. Bet you're feeling better now. I hauled the bedclothes up to my chin. Much. I can hear my bones knitting faster than a bunch of tricoteurs at the foot of the guillotine. I know it sounds as if I'd done nothing but lie around and not be tied to my bed, but I hadn't been wasting my time. While various flexi boots and gloves did their work, soothing swollen flesh, healing broken bones and torn ligaments, and rendering me not only pain-free but quite euphoric on occasions, I'd used the time to do some thinking. Quite a lot of thinking. And a lot of planning, too. I suspect Nurse Hunter was quite surprised at my docility. She was always bursting in and staring at me suspiciously, looking for signs of misbehaviour. I would stare back, looking for signs of marriage and or motherhood. We, Peterson and I, had failed to elicit information of any kind from Markham. I don't know why we thought we'd succeed, where teachers, police, magistrates, the army and Dr. Bairstow had failed. And if I wasn't being either the starer or the staree, then I was being surrounded by visitors. Peterson came every day, wearing his blues again, because he was in charge of the history department until I was back on my feet. He seemed his usual self, but he wasn't. He was all over the place. Dottle's death and its implications had affected all of us, and Peterson most of all. I knew Lingos had stayed with him throughout Dottle's arrest and all the subsequent drama. She brought him to visit me in sickbay. I think it was when they were getting Dottle out of the tree and they wanted him out of the way. Sickbay's on the other side of the building. I wasn't feeling that brilliant myself at the time, but Peterson had a strange, lost look, and I feared for him. Lingos and I exchanged glances. I'll get some tea, she said. Are you allowed to drink anything, Max? No one's told me not to, I said. So yes. She disappeared. Peterson stood by my bed. There was a chair, but I don't think he could remember what it was for. He said hoarsely, Max, I told her things. I did this. He gestured at my battered state. This is my fault. This is all my fault. If she hadn't already been very, very dead, I'd have climbed out of bed, broken bones and all, and slaughtered her on the spot. He shook his head. How could I get things so wrong? We all did, Tim. You can't take all the credit. Come and sit down, you daft bugger, before you fall down. He dropped heavily into the chair and gestured at my flexi boots.